I have a story I would like to share with you. I remember this story like it happened yesterday, but it actually happened a few years ago. I was a student back then at this time at Gallaudet University. After my first year of college, I went back home to New York. The whole month of June, I was looking for a job. It was so hard to get a job because there were so many young students who came home from colleges looking for a job too. I had a really frustrating experience every time I looked for a job. I would walk into the office and give them my application, and they would just take one look at me and would say no. They wouldn't even give me a chance to explain myself. One morning, I was reading the newspaper and I noticed an ad for a job for a dishwasher at a summer camp. And I thought, that's fine. I don't mind being a dishwasher. So I went to that summer camp to apply. It was on the 5th floor. I wrote out the application and then I stood waiting for the boss or someone to get me, and then they finally did get me, and I entered that office, and then the man stood up and I handed him my application. He reviewed it, looked at me, and started talking to me. And I realized I needed to explain to him that I am deaf. So I told him that I can't hear, and he was very confused. I told him I am deaf, and he said, "Oh." So he pointed to the door and told me to go through that door. So as I went through that door, I found myself in a hallway. And there was the elevator that I just got off of. He pushed me away. He didn't even let me explain myself. I went into that elevator, and as it was going down, I felt sad and depressed. I was talking to myself like, why couldn't he have given me a chance to explain myself? I would be good at that job. Being a dishwasher does not require being hearing. So as I went outside in the street, there were so many people walking back and forth, lots of traffic. The sun was beaming on me. It was so hot. I stood there moping. And then I took a moment to think, and I realized I shouldn't give up like that. If I were to just give up, I wouldn't be able to move on in life. I wouldn't be able to get ahead. So I decided I'm going to go back and fight for my job. So I turned around, went back in that office, and as I was in the elevator, I was writing all the notes that I would like to explain to him. So as I walked in, he wanted me to leave, and I said, nope, I am staying. I handed in my application. I told him I wasn't going to leave until he read my notes. So he reviewed my notes, took a look at them, and I was able to explain myself that I am a student at college. I have to have a job. And also being a dishwasher doesn't require that you must hear. I am a strong man. I have strong hands. And he was surprised that I could write as well. So he told me to come and sit. And he asked me if I could read lips, and I said a little bit. And he said, okay, then you can. Then we started to talk. And then I got the job. I'll never forget that day I arrived at summer camp to start my job. It was so beautiful. The landscaping, the trees, it was so beautiful. I was excited. So I was a dishwasher. I did my job. I moved dishes. Really, I hated that job. But I had to do it. So someone had asked at the last day at camp, a person was looking for a volunteer to help with the horses and the farmer to move hay. And I volunteered. I quickly jumped on that because I did not want to be in that kitchen anymore. So early the next morning, I went and I joined the farmer and I helped move the hay. And we would shovel the hay into the wagon. And after it was done, we would move the wagon into the barn, which was all the way in the back. So all morning I was moving hay into the wagons. And then I realized my hands were hurting. They were in so much pain. So I continued through that pain. And then it was finally lunchtime. We all went and sat down and ate our lunch. After I finished eating, I was so exhausted. I decided I would just go and lay over by a tree and relax for a minute. When I woke up, I was the only one there. Everyone had already left to go back to work, and I was, oh no. So I hurried and rushed, and I grabbed all of my things. And when I arrived to the place, I saw the farmer standing on top of the barn just looking at us, and he just gave me that weird, he was making fun of me because I was late. I looked at him and I'm like, my first reaction was I just wanted to leave. I didn't want to be there anymore. But then I thought about it and realized, I'm just going to have to be patient and finish my work. So I continued putting the hay into the wagon. They were piling on top of each other, and then we would move it into the barn, and then we would stack more hay on top of each other, and the sky was turning black. It looked like it was about to rain any time. So everyone hurried, and we quickly gathered all the hay, put it on top of each other into the wagon, put it into the barn, because we wanted to finish it before it rained. We were working so hard, so fast, and finally we were going to put the hay in the barn, and my boss allowed other people to go home except me. He told me that I have to go stand on that loft, and two men have to stand on top of the barn and has to put the hay on me while I have to separate it. It kept piling on me, and so what happened was the two men were working so hard, so fast that it kept piling and piling, and it was hard for me to keep up. The dust was getting all into my eyes. I was having a hard time breathing. I was sneezing. The hay was everywhere on me. And then I saw the farmer. He was enjoying himself. He thought this was nice. And for a minute there, I didn't think I could breathe. I thought I couldn't keep going. I had to give up. And then another man told me, okay, we'll switch places. All right, so we went outside, and with the cool air just on my skin, it felt so nice. Now it was my turn. I was going so fast, putting the hay into that barn. And then he was having a hard time keeping up as well. And the hay was getting everywhere. The dust was everywhere as well. And finally, there was no more hay to put into the barn, and it started storming. And I just fell to the floor. I was exhausted. The rain was on top of me. And then I woke up. I woke up, I wiped the rain off my face, and then I saw the farmer standing on top of me, just looking at me smoking his cigarette. So as I walked away, he put his hand on my shoulder. And in that moment, I felt proud. And then I continued walking. I continued walking away, and I was just happy.